Imagine living in complete isolation, unable to share a single thought or feeling with another person. Today, we're diving into something that shapes every moment of our lives: communication. We'll explore how it transforms relationships, careers, and society itself. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why mastering communication might be the most important skill you'll ever develop.
You know, it's fascinating how communication literally shapes our reality. Every relationship we build, every career move we make, every connection we form, it all comes down to how effectively we communicate.
And I've heard there's actually a staggering cost to poor communication. Would you believe that miscommunication causes over $1 trillion in losses annually across the United States?
That's absolutely right. $1.2 trillion to be exact. And you know what's even more interesting? Communication isn't just about words. It's actually a complex psychological process that affects our brains in fascinating ways.
Tell me more about that. How does it work in our brains?
Well, research shows that when we communicate, our brains actually light up in areas associated with both fear and pleasure simultaneously. It's like this intricate psychological cocktail that makes communication both challenging and rewarding.
That's fascinating. Let's break this down for our listeners. What are the main types of communication we need to understand?
There are 4 fundamental types: verbal, nonverbal, written, and visual. Each plays a crucial role in how we express ourselves and understand others.
Could you give us some examples of each?
Sure. Verbal is your spoken words. Nonverbal includes body language and facial expressions. Written covers everything from emails to text messages. And visual involves images, graphs, and symbols.
You know what's interesting? I've heard that nonverbal communication can actually say more than our words sometimes.
Absolutely. Things like facial expressions, posture, and even how much personal space we maintain can communicate powerful messages without a single word being spoken.
Speaking of powerful messages, let's talk about how communication affects our relationships. What role does it play there?
Communication is the foundation of trust in relationships. Clear expression and active listening help build stronger connections and minimize misunderstandings.
And what about in the workplace? How crucial is communication there?
It's absolutely essential. Studies show that employers consistently rank communication skills among their top requirements when hiring. It affects everything from team collaboration to leadership potential.
You mentioned something earlier about communication barriers. What are some common ones people face?
Language differences are a big one, especially in today's global workplace. But there's also emotional barriers, cultural differences, and even environmental factors like noise or distractions.
That reminds me of something interesting. You know that scene in Austin Powers where Dr. Evil demands $1 million as ransom?
Oh yes. It's funny because what seemed like a huge sum then now seems trivial. It shows how communication needs to evolve with the times.
Let's talk about career growth. How specifically does communication affect our professional lives?
Research shows that strong communication skills are directly linked to career advancement. They influence everything from job interviews to leadership opportunities.
And what about in education? I've heard there's an interesting paradox there.
Yes, particularly with English language learning. Many students understand English well but struggle to speak it because traditional education focuses too heavily on grammar rather than practical conversation skills.
That's really interesting. So how can people improve their communication skills?
Regular practice is key. Engage in conversations, join discussion groups, and most importantly, focus on active listening. It's not just about speaking, it's about understanding.
What about written communication? How important is that in today's digital age?
It's become increasingly crucial. With remote work and digital communication dominating our professional lives, the ability to write clearly and effectively is more important than ever.
And visual communication, how does that fit in?
Visual communication has exploded in importance. From presentations to social media, the ability to communicate through images and graphics is now a fundamental skill.
Let's talk about trust building. How does communication play into that?
Trust is built through consistent, clear communication. When people feel heard and understood, they're more likely to develop trust in both personal and professional relationships.
What about conflict resolution? How does communication help there?
Effective communication is crucial for conflict resolution. It helps parties understand each other's perspectives and find common ground for solutions.
And in team settings, how does it affect group dynamics?
Good communication creates stronger team cohesion. It ensures everyone understands their roles and responsibilities and helps prevent misunderstandings that could derail projects.
What about cultural differences in communication? How do those come into play?
Cultural awareness is crucial in communication. Different cultures have different communication styles, and understanding these differences is key to effective global interaction.
How does technology affect modern communication?
Technology has transformed how we communicate, creating new opportunities but also new challenges. We need to adapt our communication styles to different platforms and contexts.
What about emotional intelligence in communication?
Emotional intelligence is crucial. It helps us read between the lines, understand underlying emotions, and respond appropriately in different situations.
Let's talk about public speaking. Why do so many people fear it?
Public speaking anxiety is actually linked to our brain's fear response, but understanding this can help us manage it better and improve our presentation skills.
How does communication affect leadership?
Leadership is fundamentally about communication. The ability to articulate vision, motivate teams, and build relationships is essential for effective leadership.
What role does listening play in communication?
Active listening is perhaps the most important aspect of communication. It's not just about hearing words, but truly understanding the message being conveyed.
How can people overcome communication anxiety?
Practice is key, but also understanding that everyone faces these challenges. Start with small steps and gradually build confidence through regular practice.
What about digital communication etiquette?
Digital etiquette is becoming increasingly important. Understanding appropriate tone, timing, and format for different digital platforms is crucial.
How does communication affect problem solving?
Clear communication helps identify problems accurately and develop effective solutions through collaboration and shared understanding.
What about communication in crisis situations?
Crisis communication requires clarity, transparency, and timeliness. It's about maintaining trust and providing accurate information when it matters most.
How does communication affect innovation?
Innovation thrives on effective communication. It enables the sharing of ideas, collaboration across teams, and the development of new solutions.
What about communication in virtual teams?
Virtual communication requires extra attention to clarity and engagement. It's important to compensate for the lack of in-person cues and connection.
How does communication affect personal growth?
Personal growth is closely tied to communication skills. As we improve our ability to express ourselves and understand others, we develop as individuals.
What final advice would you give our listeners about improving their communication skills?
Start small, practice regularly, and remember that everyone is on their own communication journey. Focus on progress, not perfection.
This has been incredibly insightful. Any final thoughts?
Remember that communication is a skill that can always be improved. Every interaction is an opportunity to learn and grow.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Copilot Podcasts. Remember, whether it's in your personal life or career, effective communication isn't just about being heard, it's about creating understanding. Thanks for listening.